just about 5 minutes away from the opening face-off of East Grand Rapids against Grand Rapids Catholic Central. I'm Matt Gajtka. Welcome to the East LACROSSE live stream. You can find us on YouTube. Just search EGR Lax Media, and glad to be with you for this road game, another road game for the stream this season, as we'll have quite a few, as East doesn't play quite as many home games as it's accustomed to, but the Pioneers with a record of 2-4 coming off of that nearly 3-week-long spring break hiatus, as they'll try to improve to 2-0 against OK Conference schools as they beat Spring Lake in our only previous broadcast this year for the 2026 season. Taking on Catholic Central, which comes in with a record of 1-5 under their first year. Coach Bill Lee, for Coach Kyle Ozapoff, Coach KO, and the Pioneers, it's an opportunity to get it rolling as they'll play 5 consecutive games against West Michigan competition. Once again, they have tested themselves in the early stretch before spring break with some high-quality out-of-state teams that were on their docket. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we work our way toward game time. We still have about 3.5 minutes left on the warm-up clock. Then we'll have the national anthem, and then we'll be set to go. And what's turned out to be quite the beautiful evening after the last couple of days. We'll certainly take the sunshine. It looks like the rain has blown out of the area, at least for now, not to jinx it. So running a little bit behind, but we should be getting started shy of 7:20. So stay with us here on the live stream, and I'll be right back with the play-by-play. Opening face-off just moments away from the CAT, the Catholic Central Athletic Trail, as it is called affectionately. Like I said, the CAT, and it's the East Grand Rapids biannual trip here to the CAT to play Catholic Central. They fell on their previous trip here back in 2024, but last year getting back on track in this rivalry series as the Pioneers prevailed at home 17-4. That was last May the 1st. And these two squads getting together once again for Coach Kyle Ozapoff, his 5th season in charge of the Pioneers, and he is 3-1 against the Cougars in his career as the head coach. He's got a record of 64-23. East Grand Rapids started its season with a 22-2 blowout win against East Lansing at home, then dropped a pair on the road down in Indiana in the Indianapolis region to Hamilton Southeastern and Carmel. Also losing to Detroit Country Day before getting on track with a 16-8 win against Spring Lake, which you saw here on the EGR Lax Media live stream 3 weeks ago tonight, in fact it was. And in their final game before spring break, neutral site at Brother Rice, East fell 15-4 to Cincinnati St. Xavier. That was on March the 28th, so it is officially 19 days, not quite 3 weeks, but 19 days between games for the Pioneers. For Catholic Central, they just returned from spring break yesterday, and the Cougars dropped a close one, 8-6, here at home at the CAT against Traverse City Central. Catholic Central has itself played against a couple of West Michigan teams, actually 4 of them now that I look at it here, or make it 5, in fact. They've got Coopersville. They lost 6-3 to open the season. They beat Lowell 12-11, the team that their coach, Bill Lee, was part of the staff for in previous years, and Lee jumping over here to Catholic Central. So they got the win against the Red Arrows, but then overtime loss to Mona Shores, 18-10 defeat to Kennewa Hills, and then a loss at West Ottawa before spring break. As we start tonight's matchup with, guess what, a face-off controlled by Caden Gosens, and the returning All-American lobs it into the attacking end as Sam Zykowski sets up shop on the left wing. He filters it back for Dylan Buck. Buck had 4 goals at Spring Lake. East Grand Rapids scored 5 goals in the opening 5 minutes of that one. And while Spring Lake hung in there, they never really threatened in the second half. Here's a chance on a bouncing shot by Trevor Bird, the sophomore. That misfired as it went wide of the freshman goaltender Eli Rice for Catholic Central. Zykowski behind the goal. He dished it off to Jake Gosens, running out from the side and puts it back out top for Dylan Buck. And across and over for Trevor Bird, the sophomore, right back to Dylan Buck, the senior. Buck, a big-time returning gun for East Grand Rapids. He goes side of the goal, and a twisting shot from Zykowski. Couldn't get the shot away as there was a stick in the way from Catholic Central, and on the ground ball, it's picked up by Caleb McLean, who plays a couple of sports at Catholic Central, including hockey, and I call Catholic Central hockey as well as East Grand Rapids hockey, so I got quite a few familiar names here on the field tonight. Try to keep them all straight for you as we get a whistle and a stoppage in play. And we've got a early penalty against East Grand Rapids and a man-up situation against Catholic Central. Buck getting penalized for slashing. And it'll be an extended man-up opportunity for Catholic Central to try to get on the board early in this one. Like I mentioned, East has won 3 of its last 4 against CC. Catholic Central, 1-5 start to the season. East at 2-4, so both teams hungry to get something going as the real season begins, you might say, after the spring break. And it's a sprint to the finish line from here on out. It's going to be a busy schedule for both. Dish behind the goal off to Alex Gavorkian. Around the horn it goes to the top, and Caleb McLean, the midfielder, tried to force the pass across. It's picked off. It's up in the air, but it's grabbed by Jack Reynolds of Catholic Central, and he's free down the left flank. Reynolds a shot, and that's easily handled there right into the cross of freshman keeper Adam Curtis. So we've got freshmen in both goals today. We've got Eli Rice in the Catholic Central net, and in the cage for East is Adam Curtis. Ball up for grabs on the turf. East still playing a man down, but losing the ball to Jacob Brodus. And Brodus moving up into the attacking end as he avoided the watchful eye of Jackson Nargi. And again, the Cougars get into their offensive set. Returning to the field, Dylan Buck, though. The penalty is over, so the Pioneers get through that. Still a 0-0 game, a little more than 2 minutes into the first quarter. That's Alex Gavorkian feeding it behind again, around to Reynolds, and back out to the top. Brady calling on. Near side, Superson. Catholic Central on the white with the blue and gray trim. Gavorkian out to the top. Erdley calling on, and back around for Superson again. He's just staying home, protecting the house at the moment. Not overextending here on the defensive coverage. Backside play from Erdley over to calling on, right back to Erdley. Tried to slip it in close, and it was knocked away, but still loose on the ground. Coming up with the ground ball, Superson free at front of the cage and scooped off the turf by Adam Curtis. And the Pioneers can go in transition and try to get on the attack and put one home for the first time. Fifely, Zykowski, 8:39 to go in the first. Trevor Bird trots onto the surface. Bird, inside pass. There's a score for East Grand Rapids. Grayson Fuller had a couple at Spring Lake, and he gets the first one here tonight with 8:29 left in the first quarter. Fuller, the senior, attackman, right where he should be, as he found the soft spot in the Catholic Central defense and slipped it by Eli Rice with what amounts to a point-blank shot. Give Bird the helper, and East not quite as quick of a start as we saw in the previous broadcast, but that'll get the job done, get their noses out in front against the Cougars. Just talking about the sunlight. Well, now we've got some cloud cover, but otherwise very pleasant evening. A little breezy, mid-60s. Shouldn't drop too much during the course of the game as Caden Gosens doing it all himself on that face-off win, and he's bumped down hard on the far sideline, and the whistle sounds, and the ball out to East Grand Rapids as Gosens checks out. Checking in Fifely, who drifts the ball right back to Dylan Buck at the top. Buck a dodge against Warner, off to Bird, big shot, and he missed it high, just barely whipping it wide of the point where the crossbar and the right post meet. And it sailed out, but stays with East Grand Rapids as Zykowski was back there. Zykowski in close, a bouncing shot. It trickled in. It got in behind Rice, beat him right between the legs with the low drive. And Dylan Buck increases the lead to 2-0 Pioneers. Or Zykowski, rather. Zykowski, his first of the game. And Zykowski, who also had a big night at Spring Lake. He picked up the hat trick there. 2 goals in 40 seconds for East Grand Rapids. That one unassisted. Zykowski missed most of last season due to injury. The Pioneers did miss him. As here's the tangle up off the face-off, and the Pioneers trying to win it with numbers there, and they do eventually get it, but it is Gosens who takes control. Flag flies, as there will be a penalty against the Cougars coming up in just a moment. As again, Dylan Buck triggers it into the attacking end, over the restraining line, off to Zykowski, the recent goal getter. And here comes Trevor Bird again. Bird had a big season on the rink this winter for the Pioneers hockey team. And he plays a significant role for the lacrosse squad as well. Dylan Buck makes a move. Lefty shot, and he drifted it high and wide. But it'll stay on the Pioneers side. Trevor Bird taking it. The flag's still on the field. And we do finally get the call. And we'll see who trots over for Catholic Central to serve the penalty. It's John Wilson, senior midi/defender. He'll take a knee in the penalty box. The Pioneers get their first man-up opportunity of the evening. 7:06 to go in the first. Fuller back to Bird. Fifely. Zykowski. In behind Gosens. Zykowski. Buck. And he wings it into the net for a 3-0 advantage. Man up goal. East Grand Rapids. They were on their back foot early due to that penalty, but they have taken command with 3 quick ones, 3 in under 2 minutes. So we hear from Fuller, we hear from Zykowski, we hear from Buck, all on the score sheet early on. And again, Caden Gosens gets the assignment on the X. Ball placed down as he goes toe-to-toe with John Wilson. And Wilson scoots it over, but right into the path of Buck, who has control. And the Pioneers, again, can go to work with possession. Hoekstra getting his first touch. And he quickly sprints off. Buck back near midfield. Waves on Fifely, who goes toward the cage. Buck a dodge to the inside. Stick cocked back, hits Fifely on the curl, right to the front, and he missed it on the left side. Fifely trying to slide it right between the cross and the post. As Eli Rice was in position to force the wide shot. Here's a high shot that scores, though, from Zykowski. Similar spot from where he scored a couple of minutes ago, and he put it right under the crossbar. He stuck that one in the back of the net. 4-0 lead. 6:05 to go in the first. And East flexing its offensive muscles in the first quarter on the road, just like they did at Spring Lake. That was a dark and stormy night on the lakeshore. This one, not so much. It feels like we are in spring sports season. And he's clearly ready to go. And Gosens goes straight forward with it. Beats his man Wilson. Right to the net. A shot. Karam's home. It went in. Just barely trickled over the goal line. And Gosens gets one. And the Pioneers are fired up for their face-off specialist as he made it happen all by himself. Unassisted goal 6 seconds after Zykowski scored his second of the quarter to make it 4-0. Caden Gosens cashes in. The solo mission. That's about as quick of a goal as you can score on lacrosse following a previous goal, assuming that the face-off comes at midfield. Of course, sometimes you can start in the attacking end due to a penalty after a goal, but from just that normal run-of-the-mill situation, I don't know how you can necessarily beat that unless you shoot from way out. This time, Brody Warner wins the face-off, though, for Catholic Central. Cougars looking to push back. Side of the net shot. Stop made by Curtis. Loose ball just outside the crease and scooped by Curtis. The opportunity for Noah Erdley, And whistle, and East Grand Rapids is guilty of an infraction. We'll see if that's a penalty or just a run-of-the-mill foul call. And it'll stay at even strength as Superson has possession for the Cougars. Down 5-0 on their home surface. They dropped a close one yesterday, 8-6 to Traverse City Central, did Catholic Central. They welcome the Trojans into town. Pushed over by Colin on behind the goal. Reynolds around to Gavorkian. Pass bounces into the feet of Superson, but he scoops it. Pretty stationary for Catholic Central as East is keeping the Cougars to the outside in the early going. Played around by Derlin, far side. Running out to the top, Reynolds. Superson. Calling on Reynolds. Just looking for an avenue to get a shot through. And the Cougars can't find it. 4:50 to go in the first quarter. Gavorkian circles the cage. Bouncing pass. Scoots away from Superson out of bounds. And that's a turnover. East Grand Rapids ball. Clock ticking. 4:40 left, and the Pioneers through midfield. Thanks to the aggressive run by Luke Stark. Stark stays in the attack. Meanwhile, the pass comes off for an underhanded shot from Jake Gosens that ricochets wide. Into the far corner, Grayson Fuller picks it up off the out-of-bounds play. He'll trigger it for East as Stark checks back into the defensive end and gets some dap from Grant Adloff back there. Fuller, turning shot, and he blew it right by Rice from close range. Fuller's got 2 in the quarter, and the Pioneers have 6 with 4:14 left before the first break. Fuller just overpowering Rice from maybe about 10 feet out, possibly 12. No further than that, though, as Fuller backed down his man. And then the quick turn and the rifle shot in. And we've got a timeout call. Have to imagine called by Catholic Central. Yes, it is, by Coach Bill Lee. Catholic Central lost a couple of all-conference performers from last year's team. They went 4-14, did the Cougars last year, 0-5 in the OK Conference Tier 1 standings. They lost Reef Gosens, all-conference player, and also Derek Weiss to graduation. I mentioned last year, East took them down 17-4 on May the 1st. But 2 years ago, Catholic Central collected a 2-goal win here at home against the Pioneers. I mentioned earlier that East Grand Rapids is going to play 5 in a row against OK Conference foes. No more games this week, nothing on the weekend, but coming up next Tuesday, they'll be at home against Forest Hills Northern. We'll have the broadcast for you here on the stream, as well as next Thursday against Forest Hills Eastern. And then the following Tuesday, April the 28th, the Pioneers have Forest Hills Central on the road. So they'll see Northern, they'll see Eastern, they'll see Central in that sequence, home, and away. And then a matchup against Rockford to close out the month of April, 2 Thursdays from today. So we've got 5 broadcasts for you coming in the next 14 days. Make it 15 days if you want to count today and count the 30th. And then it'll be on to Brother Rice to start the month of May. But quite a few games crammed into the next 3 weeks. 5 before the end of the month, and then 6 more in May before we get to the state playoffs. Ready for the resumption of play. Gosens against Warner. Warner bumps Gosens back. Gosens takes it off the turf, though, and protecting it with one hand on the stick. Now he's up ahead, past midfield, over the restraining line. Gosens, he's already got 1. He's going to make it 2, maybe. No, he took the shot low, and Rice made a nice save, his best of the game so far. Caden Gosens feeling it, and why not? As Rice takes the pass from his defender on this near side, Colt Rockwell. Rice dished it up the middle, but errantly off a couple of sticks. It hops back to Rockwell. Tall defender for Catholic Central, makes a good pass to get Cade Heminger away. Heminger to Reynolds, turning around the defense of Stark, but lost control of it. Stark whacked it right out of his stick and right back to the cage. In fact, Adam Curtis had to leap up to grab that pass, but he did it with no trouble. Jackson Nargi trusting his freshman keeper. Trevor Bird on ahead. And the Pioneers can get into their offensive set with 3:13 to go in the first. Catholic Central had an early surge, a lot of possession. They had a man-up chance as well. Could not score, and then the Pioneers have switched into a higher gear. As the referee at midfield stopped play, but now we resume. Fifely goes up top and scores on the pass from Buck. Fifely wasted no time, wasted no motion as he whipped it in. Another high shot whizzes into the Catholic Central cage, and it's 7-0 East Grand Rapids. Fifely's first of the game. Fifely was so prolific last year, especially in and around the goal. That one was a little bit further from what we saw from his usual range last year. He was the master of the quick stick. In this case, a little bit of a deeper shot, but still ice cold with the finish. Ethan Fifely. And the Pioneers are finding room inside that Catholic Central defensive formation, in addition to being able to attack the flanks as well. That's how you get to a 7-0 lead. Hoekstra sprinting ahead to the corner in Fuller. Jake Gosens takes over. Jake and Caden, twin brothers, both seniors. Both play football as well as hockey. They've got all the seasons covered. Buck to the corner for Jake Gosens. Took it on a short hop as he's defended by Rockwell. So Gosens moved it over. Zykowski, 2 in the quarter. Tries for a third, and it bounced off the cross of the goalkeeper Rice and pinballs around to the near sideline where it's picked by Jake Gosens. Zykowski to Buck. A fake and a dodge. Another fake. Looking to shoot it lefty and switches back to righty. And backing out Buck. 2 minutes to go in the quarter. Buck with some room. A shot, and that's fended off by Rice. Right back to Buck, though, as he leapt up to snatch the rebound. Bird turns the corner. His incisive pass bounced away from Fuller, but here's Zykowski, and he sailed it on the quick trigger shot. But Gosens will be allowed to restart the possession for East Grand Rapids as he was stationed back behind the goal in the football end zone. Buck and Bird, they exchange. Bird, inside feed. There's Fuller for the hat trick. 8-0. And again, similar to Fuller's previous goal, where he grabbed it, turned it, and used his frame to protect the ball as he took the shot. No chance for a Cougar to get a stick in the way. And with 1:33 to go in the first quarter, Pioneers dominant on the road. And their return to the field after 19 days off. Well, 19 days away from game competition. You know, they've been practicing hard since they got back from break late last week. And the fruits of their labors evident tonight. Violation on the faceoff. And so the Pioneers get credit for that win. Buck collects it. Fifely faking left, passes right. Into the game comes Ezra Kuiper, the sophomore. Kuiper to Buck with that pass. Kuiper wearing number 15, and he has it now. Kuiper against Wilson, inside move, and he took a bump as he let that shot go. Didn't really finish it as it sailed well out of bounds in behind the goal. But no harm there. And the Pioneers' Jake Gosens takes on Rockwell. Gosens careful to stay out of the crease as he made the pass to Zykowski. Inside slip move. Missed it high. 52 seconds remaining in the quarter. And an 8-0 Pioneers advantage. Jake Gosens gets the signal from the referee to restart play. Kuiper getting some momentum heading toward the goal. Now forced back out by Helminski. Dylan Buck against Warner. Inside, outside, nothing there. His attempted pass interrupted by Rockwell, but taken by Gosens. He got swiped on the side of the helmet, and he shoots and scores anyway, does Jake Gosens, as he emerged from out behind and buried it for East Grand Rapids for a 9-0 lead. 21 seconds left. It was going to be a penalty. Unassisted goal for Jake Gosens. Quite the prolific first quarter of action for East Grand Rapids. And so since the goal was scored, no penalty against Catholic Central. That's their only respite ever since East started this barrage of goals with 8:29 left in the quarter. They went nearly the first 4 minutes without a goal. But now they've got 9 in just over 8 minutes. I know it still will be a penalty, excuse me, as it will be Colt Rockwell serving the slashing penalty. Took a while to get over there to the penalty box, and the Pioneers Gosens wins the draw. We're down to 18 seconds. Another man-up chance for East. They're 1-for-1 on the man-up today. As we get closer to dusk here, 6 seconds to go in the quarter. Looks like East is just going to run the clock out and get it to the second quarter where they will still have some carryover penalty time to work with. Quite the offensive performance in the first quarter, keyed by a hat trick for senior attack Grayson Fuller. East Grand Rapids leads at 9-0, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes from the CAT, the Catholic Central Athletic Trail, here in Grand Rapids proper. I'm Matt Gajtka. Keep it right here on the EGR Lax Media live stream. The Pioneers start the second quarter with the ball. No need for the face-off as they're on the man up. I'm Matt Gajtka. Welcome back to the Catholic Central Athletic Complex, where East asserting its dominance in the first quarter. Here they come again with a shot that goes careening high and wide. First opportunity of the quarter. That from Zykowski, who's got 2 already in the game. Pioneers keep the ball. Fuller, he has 3. Behind the goal, Jake Gosens. It's where he likes to operate. Zykowski to Buck, closing, hitting Bird, shot, and score. It went in. Hard to tell with the glare at the moment as dusk is arriving here in Grand Rapids, but it did sneak by right between the cross of the stick of Eli Rice and the near side post, and Bird has his first goal. Another man-up strike for EGR, and it's 10-0 in favor of the defending D2 state champs. Give Buck the assist, as announced here. Just 25 seconds into the second quarter. There goes Gosens again. Caden Gosens wins the ball. We're going to have to deal with some glare on the streaming broadcast, at least for the next few minutes, as the sun's dropping just low enough to cause some trouble there up against the windows here in the press box. And it's Fifely drifting over the restraining line and connecting on back to Caden Greenway. He gets into the ball game. Buck to Greenway. He charges right at Wilson and then passed it behind. Jake Gosens, far side. Here's a shot and score. Sneaking it in, Zykowski. That's his hat trick. 11-0. Some sharp shooting tonight for East Grand Rapids. They're picking their spots, and they are nailing them for the most part. 10:59 to go in the third, or excuse me, in the second. Zykowski gets an assist from Jake Gosens on the play. Zykowski was ready to pull the trigger from the far flank. Warner got whacked, but he won the faceoff with a long stick. He scores. Warner blows it by Curtis, and Catholic Central has its first of the night. Right off the draw. That's the second goal like that we've seen today, one for each side. Let's give credit to Warner, sensing the opportunity. Picked up the ball, and just 8 seconds after East made it 11-0, Catholic Central breaks the ice. That one's definitely unassisted. And it'll be Warner against Gosens at the X again. And violation called against Gosens for once. So back-to-back face-off controls for Catholic Central and Brody Warner. And the Cougars try to mount something. McLean to Erdley, Reynolds, Alex Gavorkian, far wing Heminger. And again, Erdley from McLean, and again Reynolds. Reynolds, his hands close together on the stick. Tried to force that pass through. Got deflected by Luke Stark. He's so good with that defensive stick. Reynolds has it back. Erdley. Far wing Superson, number 21. Gavorkian and Reynolds. Gavorkian, Reynolds, McLean, and Heminger, all part of the Catholic Central varsity hockey team as well. They're out there together on the attack. McLean spins around. But again, East putting the defensive area on lockdown at the moment. Lob pass over the top. It just got by Zach Caswell. Catholic Central resets. Gavorkian, the lefty play, near side Superson. Scampering out to the top. Heminger, and again, back behind the cage. The Cougars probe this side again. McLean protecting the ball. Superson to Heminger. Gavorkian had it stripped, taken away on the intercept by Grant Adloff, and the junior hightails it to the midfield stripe. Adloff, he's home free, and he serves it on to Fuller, who's got 3 tonight. An 11-1 lead for East Grand Rapids just 3 minutes into the second quarter. East on the season, its biggest offensive output, 22 goals against East Lansing in the opener. Since then, its most was 16 against Spring Lake, the game you saw here on the stream. But there's a turnover, and rambling back, Jacob Brodus for Catholic Central. Brodus eludes the defense of Fifley, and Catholic Central calls the timeout, halting the action with 8:37 to go in the second quarter. Pioneers have to love the way this one's developed so far. 3 goals for Fuller, 3 goals for Zykowski, and also strikes on the day for Dylan Buck, for Caden Gosens, Ethan Fifley, Jake Gosens, and Trevor Bird. That rounds out the scoring list in this one so far. For Catholic Central, Brody Warner, but they do have the most recent goal in the game. So the Cougars have taken their second and final timeout of the first half. Catholic Central stays busy. I mentioned they played Traverse City Central. I said yesterday, that was actually 2 days ago, that they played TCC. Tomorrow, they're at Hudsonville, and then at Rockford next Tuesday. And they got Forest Hills Northern, Traverse City West on the road. That's a weekend game. And Forest Hills Eastern and Forest Hills Central before the end of April. So it is a jam-packed schedule for Catholic Central. Coming back from break, over a 16-day span, they play 9 times. Like I said, they'll be on short rest tomorrow. 3rd game in 4 nights. Sounds like an NBA or an NHL schedule. But like I said, once you get back from break, there really isn't that much time to get in all the regular season games you want to, or have to in some cases, when it comes to the conference action before that playoff window opens up on the 3rd week of May. On the restart, Gevorkian dished it behind to McLean. And juggled and grabbed by John Superson, a sophomore. Cade Heminger, he's a junior, takes it back for the Cougars. Superson with Stark watching as he gave it to McLean and right back out to the top for Superson. Stark couldn't get a stick on that as the low shot comes in from McLean, fended off beautifully by Curtis, but the rebound scooped up by the Cougars. And there's going to be a foul called against Jackson Nargi as Heminger was hog-tied on the near side wing. And it'll be a man-up chance for Catholic Central. So Jackson Nargi obediently trots over to the penalty box and chats with a couple of the assistant coaches. Gives me a chance to rattle their names off. Chris Owens, Nick Milanowski, Nate Henson, Dan Katzier, all assistant coach KO. There's a shot and a score on the man up for Cade Heminger. Straight on drive from maybe 20 yards out at the most. And CC has back-to-back goals, and they've cut it down to an 11-2 deficit with 7:46 left before halftime. Goals for Warner and Heminger, just over 3 minutes apart. And the lead is back to single digits for East Grand Rapids. And how about that? Another face-off win for Warner. He's on a hot streak, and here he comes. Considered the pass, instead he hangs on. And rolled it right along the ground for Superson. And the Cougars fans exhorting their players to pick up the urgency as Superson shoots. That's blocked. Blocked out top beautifully by Hoekstra and grabbed on the move by Zach Caswell. He connects on to Stark, getting up into the attack. Stark, a shot. Stop made by Rice as he reached up to the sky. But his pass was deflected right back to his defender, Jacob Brodus, who runs into some trouble back there. He's trying to find an outlet, and he does throw it right over the top of Superson, but no Pioneer in the vicinity or not close enough to pick up that ball, so Superson has enough time to dust it off and make a pass that Stark deflected. Stark reaching in. Can he get the ground ball? Still free. Reynolds on the spot for Catholic Central. Drifts it across. And it goes from Jacob Aaron, first touch of the game for him, to Superson, to Erdley and Reynolds. And the Cougars trying for 3 in a row. They've got an opportunity. Superson to Caleb McLean. Aaron. Gevorkian. Reynolds. Noah Erdley again. Put it behind the lunging Stark. To McLean. Right back to Erdley. Rattles off its cross. He's going to have to hustle over there to keep it in bounds. He can't do it. It's a turnover. And East Grand Rapids gets possession back. 6:08 remaining in the second quarter. Puck fake from Hoekstra. He likes to keep. And a spinorama at midfield. Creates some time and space. Right to the front, trying to shoot that was Zykowski. That was blocked partially. And came free to Brodus. Brodus eluding the whacks of Buck. Well, he didn't on that last time as Buck knocked it right out of his cross. And the Pioneers make the move. Nargi with the ground ball. And he hooks up with Fuller. Fuller to Buck and back to Fuller. Pass almost scooted right by Gosens, but Jake Gosens made the adjustment. Faking inside Zykowski. He'll keep it to the outside against some pretty tight pressure. Bird to Buck. 5:14 left in the quarter. Buck dodging by. Great pass to the doorstep, and it's rattled off the pipe from the side of the goal by Zykowski. Bouncing shot from Bird. That deflects wide as well, and it'll stay with the Pioneers. Jake Gosens plucks it off the blue turf in the end zone to our right. Gosens. A bit of a pick and roll type look to that play. Zykowski pumping, feeding, Buck closing, shot, stopped by Rice. And he's got it. A freshman goalie building some confidence, it looks like. Took it on the chin in the first quarter, but he's made a handful of pretty good, darn good saves ever since then. And the Cougars back on the attack. Gevorkian in his playmaker role from back there. Reynolds to Erdley. Conan. Heminger behind Gevorkian. Reynolds. And right back out to the top again to Brady Conan. Gevorkian to Reynolds. Emerging. Nargi gave him no room. Then Stark got a stick on that pass, but Reynolds recovers to take it right back. McLean feeding into the middle and trying to, I think, pass that to Gevorkian was Conan, and one of the Pioneers got a stick on it. And it pinballs out beyond the end line where Gevorkian takes command again. 3:37 to go in the second quarter. McLean pumps it right back to Erdley. Heminger. Far side goal line extended for Gevorkian. Thought about the inside move, but he keeps the ball moving around the horn. Reynolds to Conan. 3 minutes left in the quarter and in the half. Catholic Central has 2 in a row. Derland inside pass and breaking up that maneuver. Caswell for East Grand Rapids. Loose ball, far sideline. Who's got it? The Pioneers do momentarily, but then it rattles right out of the stick of Mason Day, who tried to escape. And it's right back for Ryan Derland. The pass goes over the head and the stick of McLean on the near side, though, and East Grand Rapids the beneficiary of that mistake for Catholic Central, as Coleman just couldn't quite hook up with McLean on the near side. Stark tiptoed over the midfield stripe, had to make sure that East had its numbers all situated, and the Pioneers do. So Stark lays it right back to Buck. And then Stark gets back on the defensive side of midfield, allowing Fifley to step up into the attack. 2 minutes remaining in the half. Sun setting at the Cat. Buck. Across the field over to Fifley. Out of the corner, Zykowski. This is Greenway to Buck. Sharp angle. Buck, a shot off the pipe, I think. Might have gotten a piece of Rice. And the ricochet back to Greenway with 1:40 remaining. Jake Gosens back there. Faced up by Colt Rockwell. Gosens beat him to the far post, but then the Cougars cavalry rallied to the cause. Buck twisting, firing, blocked. I think McLean got in the way of that. 1:19 left. Pioneers keep possession, though. And the Pioneers call timeout. Coach KO wants to talk it over. Maybe try to make this the final possession of the half. When you're up 9, you want to control things when you can. And so the Pioneers take their first timeout of the night. Well, it's been a mixed bag so far for East Grand Rapids. I mentioned blew out East Lansing in the opener. Then a 1-goal loss on the road at Hamilton Southeastern, a team that came into EGR and gave the Pioneers a great matchup last year. So they returned the favor down there in Indiana and lost 15-14. Then they played Carmel the next day, part of that same road trip, and just weren't close in that one. They fell 15-3 and then suffered a loss to Detroit Country Day as well as they returned to Michigan. So, as usual, the Pioneers front-load that schedule with high-quality competition both in and out of state. They want to see where they're at. They want to test themselves and see where they can improve gives you a lot of good film when you play some great teams. And even though you're the defending champions in high school sports, there's always going to be a lot of turnover. And you got to figure it out. Each group has to figure it out for their own. They can't rely on the previous season's success. None of that matters now. And East with a 2-4 record, but poised to climb back within 1 of 500 if they can keep up this pace that they've set through almost the entirety of the opening half. As we're back to action, Greenway wants to try to beat Superson. Instead, he delivers it to the corner near side for Gosens. Far side pass, stepping in Zajkowski, the shot. That never got through, not even off the stick really, as Helminski reached up to block it, and there's a big-time battle with the ball on the turf, and taking it off the carpet are the Pioneers and Gosens. Gosens, serpentine toward the middle, shot it, and he spiked it just wide left. 44 seconds remaining. Zajkowski retrieves it, though. Great hustle. Buck, a couple of dodges, and a lefty shot that rattles off the stick of Rice, still free, just in front of the crease. Fifely jabbing at it, and it's up in the air with 25 seconds. To the far wing, Gosens arrives on the spot to take command again. 20 seconds to go. Gosens cocked his stick back. Here he comes. He scores. He sneaks it by Rice right along the turf. And with 16 seconds to go in the half, it's 12-2 East Grand Rapids. So Gosens gets another one, his second of the night. And that'll be unassisted. And the Pioneers cut down that brief Catholic Central run and get the lead back to 10. And still a little bit of time left if they want to press the issue before the buzzer. Again, 16 seconds remaining. Caden Gosens gets the call, as you would imagine. And chunked forward by Brody Warner, but back into East real estate. That's where Gosens takes it, but we might have... Well, we got a violation against Catholic Central as one of their attackmen left the attacking side of the field. So here comes Gosens, 6 seconds. Gosens the charge, the shot, and he bounced it off the turf, and that was a trampoline bounce right over the goal as time runs out in the first half. 3 goals apiece for Grayson Fuller and Sam Zajkowski, 2 for Jake Gosens, and a handful of others contributing offensively and, of course, defensively, as the Cougars are limited to just 2 goals in the opening half on their home field. East Grand Rapids puts a down payment on this one. They have a 10-goal lead at the half. We'll be back in about 10 minutes from the Cat. Keep it right here on the EGR Lax Media live stream here on YouTube. Setting up for the third quarter. I'm Matt Gajtka. Welcome back to the East Lacrosse live stream. You can like and subscribe and also sign up for notifications so you know exactly when we're going live. We've got plenty of live broadcasts coming up over the next several weeks. So, stay tuned in to what we've got for you, both home and road. As here we go. The Pioneers up by 10 on the road, trying to make it 2-0 against OK Conference teams, and this against an OK Conference Tier 1 squad, much like themselves. So this will be significant in that way as well, trying to get a league win on the board. And again, Gosens won the faceoff, and here go the Pioneers down to our left in their traveling blue uniforms with the gold numerals, gold trim, white helmets. Catholic Central in the white jerseys, silver pants. As Fifley shoots, stopped by Rice, rebound, was bounding behind him briefly, but then he picked it up. Eli Rice escapes his crease and passed it to the near side for Colt Rockwell. Back to Rice, he gets involved. Two freshman goalies, one on either side in this game. Gevorkian lays it on the ground for Cade Heminger. Big thanks to David Toll for providing the video side of tonight's broadcasts. And as we were just talking about at the halftime, we don't have to worry about the sun anymore as it is officially down below the horizon as the shot comes from the charging Jacob Aaron, but it was deflected over the crossbar. So Curtis didn't have to make a save on that, but the Cougars keep the ball. Catholic Central, I mentioned, with the blue and silver trim, playing at this gorgeous facility here at the CAT, the Cougar Athletic Trail. Dropped on back as Heminger exchanges with Erdley. Heminger near side, and a wheeling shot goes in from Ryland Durland. Whipped it upstairs against Curtis with a lefty release. And with 10:18 to go in the third quarter, the Cougars have their third. Durland, first of the night. Looks like Heminger will get an assist on the play. And it's back to a 9-goal margin. East Grand Rapids, if you're joining us late, led 9-0 late in the first quarter. It was quite the barrage. 9 goals in just over 8 minutes of game time. That put them in command in a massive way. Just 3 goals in the second quarter. And we'll see what the Pioneers have in store for the third. As the Cougars get the opening strike of the half. Bird against Superson on the perimeter. He wings it across. Zykowski. 3 goals today. Oh, a turning shot, score. Fifley guides it home. The spin off the defender and put it right inside the right post to counter the early Cougar strike. With 9:48 left, it just took 30 seconds. Fifley's second of the evening. 13-3. Pioneers on pace for their largest offensive output of the season. They had 22 against East Lansing in the opener. Almost exactly a month ago, in fact. Each team has played 6 games coming in. East had won 2. Catholic Central just the 1. They beat Lowell. Buck rises high to take that pass into the attacking end, and the shot missed. Eluded the stick of Rice, the keeper, as well as any of the Cougar defenders, but the Pioneers keep the ball. Our next broadcast coming up Tuesday, finally at home this season for a live stream. Buck grabs it, fires it, stopped by Rice, and it stays in his cross as he fakes left, fakes right, passes left. Rockwell, he drifted that pass, and right near the sideline, it is out. It went out. Jack Reynolds couldn't save it for Catholic Central. Luke Stark does the honors for East Grand Rapids. I mentioned the Pioneers, the defending state champions. They did it again. The program just continues to churn along, but trying to climb out of a hole early in this season. Twisting shot from Buck. That's offline, but Zykowski in the near corner to put a new ball into play. Zykowski ducking inside, pulls it back. Oh, he shot and he scored. How'd that go in? I have no idea. That might have hit something, and it ended up in the back of the net. A little sleight of hand for Zykowski. The referee waited to officially call it a goal. It's almost like he even couldn't believe it. But somehow Zykowski found the room, and he has 4 tonight. And the Pioneers have 14. They match their largest lead at 11. 8:37 remaining in the third. East graduated 5 all-conference performers from last year. Oliver Owen, Owen Stropke, Ruben Yakiri, Quinn Irwin, and Brogan Bernard. Also Bennett Winkle and Gavin Buck graduating. Also missing a couple of players they thought might be with them, but they're out for the season. Bryce Bjornson and Vinny Hecker, both out for the year. Bird fires and scores from straight on. Trevor Bird off the assist from Hoekstra. As the Cougars forgot about Trevor, and he had his choice of spots to shoot at. He went top right. Bird's got 2. The Pioneers score twice in 14 seconds. Another quick strike sequence. (15-3). Ball on the ground. Gosens wedged off it by Warner. But right there to take Hoekstra and a flag, as there will be a penalty against Catholic Central in just a moment. The Pioneers go on the attack, though. Stark with the long stick. Gosens behind the goal. Rockwell trying to defend. Gosens gives it up to Fuller. Buck as Stark returns to the defensive side. Bird activates from back there. Can only have 6 on the attacking end. Zykowski shrugs his shoulders as the whistle sounded. Nope, it did not. Play continues. The referee winds the clock. The referee on the near side, that is. The referee on the far side, I think, inadvertently blew his whistle. Zykowski shrugged his shoulders, saying, what's the deal here? And now we have a stoppage in play. And I think Bill Lee, the coach for Catholic Central, was getting in the ear of the referee, saying, well, you can't stop it and restart it. We want to get set up, at least, as it'll be a penalty called against Superson and a man-up chance for East Grand Rapids. Well, everyone makes mistakes, even the officials, as the clock winds. 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Slashing is the call against Superson. And he genuflects in the penalty box. And so, Zykowski starts the man up with the ball. Zykowski let it go on the shot. That was blocked off the body of Brody Warner, who's been a standout for Catholic Central today despite the deficit. Zykowski sneaks out in front. He's stoned by Rice. Rebound, Fifely. And is it in? It is. It's in behind him. It's a score on the man up for Fifely. That's his hat trick. So the Pioneers scramble and they get that man advantage goal. That's their third of the night. They're 3 for 3 when they had the man power edge. 16-3. 6:01 left in the quarter. And it is a running clock, as we've gotten to the necessary margin in the second half. 9 goals in the first quarter for East Grand Rapids. That's the headline so far, and they've managed it well, and now extending that lead. Caden Gosens, he scored down at the end to our left in the first quarter. Elected to pass it off this time. Gosens, who last year had an 80% face-off win rate, made him an All-American. Also, Coach KO was named USA Lacrosse Coach of the Year as he collected his first championship for East, a former standout on the field for East Grand Rapids. There's a turnover there by the Pioneers, and the Cougars break back. Jacob Brodus, a lot of room to run. Brodus tempted to shoot, and he does. Missed it a couple inches outside the right post, and that bounced off the stone wall back there behind the end zone and behind the soccer goal and the football goal post. Whole lot going on. Of course, multi-use. Tell the turf is not very old either. It's a sparkling facility. One of the best the Pioneers will play on the road. Durland. Heminger shot, and he scored. Almost like he took something off that to try to place it perfectly, and he did get it past Adam Curtis for a 16-4 score with 4:14 left in the quarter. Heminger connecting from about 20 to 25 yards away. That's the second goal of the quarter for Catholic Central. They got 2 in the second, 2 in the third. They were just helpless to interrupt the momentum of East Grand Rapids in the first. And speaking of momentum and making the opponent feel helpless, Caden Gosens does it all there on the face-off victory. Buck pulls the trigger from deep, and he scores. Buck blows it in from 23 yards out. Believe it or not, that's just Buck's second goal of the game. That one's unassisted with 3:20 remaining in the quarter. 17-4. And this was the final score last year when these two teams got together out on the shores of Reeds Lake. Jammed back into the Pioneers' defensive end. Stark, who else, comes up with that loose ball. And he stretches his legs out to get the Pioneers on the attack officially. Stark, though, dispossessed. A well-timed stick check from Superson, and that's a turnover. So Stark taketh and Stark giveth away in the end. But no harm, no foul here. Here's a turnover. Hoekstra shooting for the open net as Rice gave it away on the attempted outlet pass. But Hoekstra just couldn't get it in there with nobody minding the store, shall we say, for Catholic Central. All learning experience, of course. Rice in his first year at the high school level. Here is Eli. Put it over to Rockwell. Skip the pass ahead to Gevorkian. 1:51 to go in the third. It's been a running clock, so it feels like a fast quarter. It has been compared to the first two, and we had plenty of stoppages due to all the goals. East led it 12-2 at the half. They've outscored Catholic Central 5-2 in this quarter. 90 seconds to go. Gevorkian faked it. Dish to Durland. Superson to the far wing. McLean back to Superson. Durland, high shot right off the pipe. And look at that ricochet all the way into the east sideline and out of bounds. That's Pioneer ball. Stark powers it ahead. Fuller, though, was stripped from behind by Warner. Under a minute to go in the quarter. Heminger tried to dish it inside, and it zips right by the head of Jack Reynolds. And Stark starts it back the other way for the Pioneers. Hoekstra open in his own territory. Nargi on the ground, but accurate to Zajkowski, who leads the Pioneers with 4 goals tonight. Zajkowski backpedaling. Now he tries to turn the corner, and he scores his 5th. Helminski helpless to stop Sam Zajkowski. It's a handful of goals for him. And the Pioneers make it 18-4 in the final seconds of the third quarter. No assist on that one either. So 6 goals for the Pioneers in the third. 2 for the Cougars. Pioneers by 14 as we take our final break of the broadcast. Lovely evening here at the Cat, especially if you're a Pioneers fan. Back for the conclusion of this one in just a moment. Back at the Cat for the fourth quarter. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big thanks to Eric Stark as well for helping to set things up throughout the year. You need good parents to have a good program, as any coach well knows. And Eric's definitely one of the great ones. So big thanks to him for also helping to clear the way, make sure I had a spot in the stately press box here at the Catholic Central Athletic Complex. Off the scramble. Here are the Pioneers, but Nargi couldn't track it down. He took a swat at Rockwell, but Rockwell moved the ball ahead to Jack Reynolds. And the Cougars attacking the goal down to our left in the fourth quarter, by the way. Catholic Central trailing it 18-4, but starts the fourth quarter with the ball. And again, it'll be a running clock in the fourth. Bounce back to Heminger, fresh onto the field. Gavorkian and Heminger exchange. Superson to Erdley. Heminger whips the shot, but getting a stick in the way. John Barnes, who gets into the action. Barnes wielding one of the long sticks for East Grand Rapids at the moment. He pressures Heminger. Heminger gets it back from Superson. Bounced into the goal by Gavorkian from the right flank. He zipped that off the turf. Sometimes it can seem to pick up speed as it bounces in. And by the way, we have a new goalie in for East Grand Rapids. Michael Millett, the junior, takes the spot of Adam Curtis for the fourth quarter. And tricky shot to face for your first since the warm-up, or at least the warm-up of the second half. So CC gets one back. Call it with 10:30 left in the fourth quarter with the clock running almost impossible to pinpoint when these goals are scored unless you're looking right at the clock when it happens. Bird breaks ahead. Feeding it off. Kuiper passed it behind to Gosens. He skipped it and knocked down Greenway. Couldn't take it, but the Pioneers' Bird retrieves and gives to Zajkowski. Zajkowski cocked the stick back. Thought better of it. Too many Cougars between him and the goal. Gosens skip past Zajkowski. Considering the lefty release, instead he passes to Buck, who shoots high and wide. Stays with East Grand Rapids. Buck put enough on that one. It could have ended up on the freeway, out on I-96, excuse me. See the cars zipping by in the background. We're just off of Knapp Street. Zajkowski, a shot handled by Rice. Almost handcuffed him. Boy, I respect goalkeepers in this game. It is a tough position. If you can stop about half the shots, you're doing a good job. And if you've never felt a lacrosse ball, it doesn't feel so good if you get drilled by it. They're not wearing a lot of equipment protectively. Chance for Bird. He misfired from right between the hash marks. The football hash marks, that is. Not relevant for lacrosse, but good for descriptive purposes for people like me. 8:33 left in a running clock, fourth quarter. Zajkowski nearly had a 6. It's under Rice's left leg, it looked like. He almost knocked it in his own net as he scrambled around. Helpless feeling. We don't know where it is. Backside pass to Brodus. He eludes the reach of his opposite number, Ezra Kuiper, number 15 in blue for East Grand Rapids. Brodus takes a couple of bumps. It's on the carpet, and there's Luke Stark swooping in on the spot again. Stark looking back. He's got Kuiper. He shoots as he was crushed when he let that shot go, and a flag comes in. Colt Rockwell belted him, and I hope Kuiper's okay. He's slow to get up. A couple of boos come in from the East Grand Rapids fans who have turned out for this one. Decent crowd on both sides, really. No surprise. After the rain cleared out, it's turned out to be a wonderful April evening in West Michigan. Clock stopped for the injury, and Kuiper trots off. He appears to be all right. Coach KO gives him a pat on the back. He took that hit to try to get a shot away. So he's doing the right things, and of course, he drew the penalty to Rockwell. By my count, East Grand Rapids is 3 for 3 on the man up tonight, so here's one more chance to pile on. And of course, after one of your teammates gets crushed like that on a penalty, you have a little extra motivation to put another ball in the back of the net. We'll see if East can do it. Unnecessary roughness is the call, by the way. Sounds about right. Fifely, pass to the far wing. Inside, and a scoop shot scores from Jake Gosens. He ladles it in. And it's 19-5. 4 for 4 on the man up for East with 7:20 approximately to go in the game. Got Gosens with 3. That's his hat trick. Zajkowski has 5. Gosens has 3. Fifely has 3. Fuller has 3. When you get 19, you're bound to have quite a few players lighting it up individually. And the Pioneers are 3 away from matching their season high for offense. Remember, this team averaged nearly 20 goals a game in the playoffs last year. So not a 4 in sight, but of course we've got plenty of new contributors, new leading characters, if you will, in some ways for East Grand Rapids. It's the 2026 version of the team. Aims for win number 3. Gosens hit the post, came right back out to the top for a shot by Gravel, and he let it go a little early as it drifted over the crossbar by a couple of feet, and it stays. No, actually, excuse me, it'll go over to Catholic Central, as one of the Cougars was the closest to it. That shot might have been deflected as well, but there's a misfired pass from Rice looking for Brodus on the near wing. Pioneers get it right back exactly halfway through the fourth quarter. A 19-5 advantage. Gosens hits the trailer, coming up for the rising shot. Catula, I think that's his first touch of the night, and it was a pretty decent scoring chance. He couldn't collect it and fire it accurately, but Jake Gosens has it off the end wall after the restart. Gravel behind to Gosens. Whip shot from Greenway. Maybe Rice got a piece of that as it scoots out to the near side. 5:17 remaining. So we've got Greenway, Gravel, and Catula all in there for East on the attack. 3 out of their 6. Getting opportunities late. Try to make a mark. I'll call Kuiper one of them too. Kuiper had the pass go behind him from Buck, but Kuiper fought well to get the ball back, maybe a little too well. He's called for the foul. Never mind. And frantic substitution on both sides. 2 new men in for Catholic Central, 1 in for East Grand Rapids. The one onto the field for East is Mason Day, long stick midi. And a whistle and a timeout called. Timeout called by Catholic Central with 4:22 remaining. Well, that gives me a chance to go over the rest of the schedule. I took you through the end of April. Like I said, still 4 more games to go in April. Next week, our first homestand of the season. Home against Forest Hills Northern on Tuesday and against Forest Hills Eastern on Thursday before the Pioneers go to Forest Hills Central and then Rockford to wrap up the month. Then they're at Brother Rice on May the 1st, at Grand Ledge on May the 4th, and at Hudsonville on May the 7th. At Hudsonville, the site of East's semifinal win last year in the state playoffs as they went all the way to the championship. So that'll be a fun time to relive some memories for some of the returning players. And then the next evening, May the 8th, at Battle Creek Lakeview before returning home for a pair of back-to-back games at Memorial Field in East Grand Rapids, May 12th and the 13th. East concludes its regular season with games against Byron Center and Heartland. Heartland makes the long trip across the state to pay a visit. And then it'll be the playoffs. And actually, Heartland plays at, Heartland will be in to play both the JV and the varsity. I was looking at the JV schedule for East. I thought that was the Catholic Central schedule. Anyway. So now you're caught up. That's the entire slate. And the restart. Catholic Central with the ball. Heminger dealt it to Gavorkian. Spins right back to the top. That's Derland, actually. The 4 and the 9 on the Cougars uniforms look a lot alike. So I think I've called Derland Heminger and vice versa a couple times. Here is Heminger. Heminger's the righty shot, looks like. And his pass back's picked off. Look at that play by Luke Stark. He grabbed it all in one motion, turned it upfield, and he's trotting into the attacking end with under 4 to go. Stark, defense into offense once again. To the corner with it for Jake Gosens. And the Pioneers look for 20 in front. Well, that is number 20, but it bounced free to Eli Rice, the Catholic Central keeper. Catula, number 20, was trying to knock that in from close range. Unable to convert. And Rice trotting well out of his goal. The official tells him to come on back into the crease. That's that blue circle you see there. Rice lays it off to Warner. On ahead, Derland, who's got a goal tonight. Derland's pass deflected right in the middle of the East zone by Abe Yakiri, the junior. So he disrupted that, led to the turnover. East gets possession. On the restart, Stark swims right by Jack Reynolds, and he's in the clear. Stark to the restraining line, steps on it, and officially breaks the ride. Zakowski right on back. Fifley to the far side. And again, it's behind the cage for Gosens to assess the scene. He's got Fifley, good grab, right to the net, and he scores the 20th for East Grand Rapids. Beautiful goal on the pass from Gosens. Fifley reached to his left, snatched it, pulled the stick back to his right, and then a couple of steps to elude that last defender for Catholic Central before he drove it by Rice. 20-5, your score with just under 2 to go in the game. That's Fifley's 4th. I've got Gosens down for 3 assists unofficially, in addition to his hat trick. So potentially a 6-point night for Jake Gosens. And someone else gets a chance on the faceoff for EGR. That's Logan Ross. He's your Fogo in training, but he lost that one. Only way to learn some of these lessons is to get out there in varsity play, stick your nose in there, and see what you can come up with. And try better the next time if you end up losing it, as Ross tries to get a defensive stick in the way of Hemminger's shot, but that missed. 1 minute to go in this game. As the Cougars, Gavorkian looked over his shoulder, made the pass to the doorstep, right at the top of the crease, and flicked up into the air inadvertently by Luke Stark. Reynolds jabbed it. Stark has it. Right off the turf, he plucked it. Connects on to Bird. And the Pioneers can push for a 21st goal. Bird, he elected instead to pull it on back with 34 seconds. Gosens, here's a shot that rattles off of Rice, and it might have stung him. That's in behind the goal. Rockwell picks it up. And I think that was Greenway who let that shot go. Couldn't get the number there on the far side. Amidst all the chaos, Hemminger pulls it free, but he's only got 10 seconds to go. Reynolds the pass. And a turning shot from Gavorkian. Missed the target. Time runs out. Pioneers win. Pioneers win 20-5. They led 9-0 after the first quarter, and they guided the ship home from there quite expertly. Like I mentioned, I've got 3 goals and 3 assists on the board for Jake Gosens. I've got 5 goals for Sam Zakowski to lead the Pioneers in that category. Also, 4 goals for Ethan Fifley, 3 for Grayson Fuller. All those were in the first quarter. And, so many Pioneers on the score sheet. A couple of goals as well for Trevor Bird. And I've got assists for Dylan Buck as well. Buck picked up a couple of goals too. And give Adam Curtis credit for the win as he played 3 out of the 4 quarters. East Grand Rapids gets back on the winning side. They're 3-4 are the Pioneers as they'll look ahead to next Tuesday's game against Forest Hills Northern. The Huskies invade Memorial Field. 7 o'clock start for the varsity game. I'll have that broadcast for you right here on this channel. And like I said, like, subscribe, and sign up for those notifications so you know when the game is starting. A lot of times it's scheduled for 7, but it might be starting a little bit later. Catholic Central drops to 1-6. They've lost 5 in a row. Big thanks to the folks with the Catholic Central Athletic Department for their hospitality. And thank you again to David Toll for running the camera. I'm Matt Gajtka. Have a great rest of your week and an awesome weekend. Enjoy the spring weather while we have it. Might be a little bit chilly the first 2 days of next week, but back to it next Tuesday. More lacrosse for